Okay, I'm not trained like Paul is. His lights are really bright. I can't see any of you. So, thank you so much for coming tonight. It means the world that you are part of this very important conversation. This is an emotional subject. I'm a very emotional guy, so if I pause for a second, please forgive me. So as Cole just indicated, mental health and mental illness affects everybody in the equation. It affects the person who's suffering, and it affects the entire family and friends. And that's a reality we all live with. And that's, as he said, this is the burden that we voluntarily take on because we love him and we love people like him. So this evening I just want to share with you just 3 lessons, not lessons learned because I'm still actively learning those, but lessons that I'm trying to learn, and hopefully they'll be helpful to you as you help other people in your life, your loved ones, maybe relatives, maybe others, maybe just friends, or people that you encounter who have mental illness, and what you can do to help them. The first lesson that we're learning right now actively is that mental health is a highly complex thing. That people it is as unique as the people who are afflicted by it. It's a mistake to oversimplify mental health issues and narrow them down to specific diagnosis, and think that if you hear somebody somebody has depression or anxiety or OCD or bipolar or whatever other slew of illnesses they might have, that you understand precisely what they have. It is not like the flu. It is not like common cold. That okay, if somebody has the flu, this is the prognosis. And, we're going to give them fluids and keep them comfortable, and in a couple of weeks, the body will fight it off and the symptoms will go away. Every case is highly unique, and every case is very, very individual. It's a bunch of layers upon layers, like an onion. And as much as you would like to help the person that you love peel that onion and peel the layers off, it is doubtful that you'll be able to do that on your own. As Cole just indicated, it's very difficult sometimes for people to open up to the very people that they're the closest to, their family members. So my advice to you would be, please seek help from professionals, because you end up having a third party, an independent party that can help your loved one peel back those layers and be this arbiter in the conversation between you and the person that you love, and to try to understand these difficult, like as I said, layers upon layers of complexities. Ultimately, you're not going to solve this problem for your loved one. Ultimately, only he or she can come to cope with the condition that they have. Only they themselves can function, can resort to healthy coping mechanisms and not to self-harm. It's up to them. You can be their support, and engaging a professional in putting them into this equation is extremely helpful. As you think about the mental illness, one thing you can do is also educate yourself. Once you start down this process of uncovering the root causes and the triggers and things that are helpful to this individual or things that are not helpful, you can continue that path. You can stay close to them. You can offer to be that shoulder for them. You can educate yourself on a specific illness that they have, and you can become that partner with them to help them on this path. One thing is difficult to do, though, and that brings us to the second lesson, is to prepare for a marathon rather than a sprint. I'm not a runner. I'm using an analogy that I scarcely understand. If you ever see me running, please look behind me because something is terrible happening. I don't run. So this analogy, I'm just purely speculating, but my guess would be that a sprinter who is preparing for a 100-meter sprint is only thinking about how to take all of the energy into one big burst and make it the fastest over that line. If you run at that pace, if you start out running endurance race like a marathon with the same intentions, you're going to run out of steam very, very quickly. So as an endurance runner, you're going to want to pace yourself and control your breathing and push through some of the things that happen to a human body when you do something crazy as run 42 kilometers or 26 miles. This is similar when it comes to mental health in the sense that this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. The truth is that a lot of these conditions are lifelong. That you can never truly be cured of them. And that you can definitely become much more functional. You can cope in a healthy way. You can definitely improve. Your obsessive thoughts can become not as persistent and more of passing thoughts. But this will always stay with you. And this will always stay with the person who you love. So if you approach this with them as if this is a sprint, you're going to quickly run out of steam. We have stopped living our lives as a family in terms of planning for the future for years or months or weeks or even days. This has become a moment by moment kind of dynamics. And that's okay, that is our life. So when we plan it this way, we pace ourselves. One time I got this Facebook post from a friend, and he was quoting a child psychiatrist. And I believe he wasn't talking about specifically mental illness, but he was talking about just how you parent teenagers. And at the time I didn't have any teenagers to parent, so now I finally understand what he meant. He said, you have to be okay even if your child isn't. And I thought, what a strange saying. How in the world as a father can I be okay if my kid isn't? But now I realize what he meant. I don't know how many times you have flown, but every time when my flight attendant goes through this list of safety procedures, I usually turn her out or him out because I've heard it so many times. But what they tell you to do is, if the cabin pressure drops and the oxygen masks are deployed, you first have to put the oxygen mask on yourself, and then on the child if you have a child next to you. That is completely counterintuitive. If my baby needs oxygen, why in the world would I stop and make sure that I'm okay before they're okay? Well, the reason is really simple. Because if you pass out from lack of oxygen, then you won't be there to put that mask on your child, and you both will perish. So the analogy, and not to overuse analogies and pictures, but what I use is, through these last several years, I felt like a caboose on the train that was hooked on to my son's train. And there are days when the train peacefully goes through its journey, like a peaceful countryside. And the caboose is happy. Just goes on the track. And then there are different days. The train is on the wrong track. And it's being battered, and it's going at a really high speed. And the caboose is just getting dragged behind it. Can't stop. can't prevent the wreck that it sees is coming. I have to unlock the caboose. As hard as it is, you have to decouple it and see it leave, the train leave, because you have to be okay. If the train wrecks, you have to be there to pick it up, put it back on the track. If you were part of the wreck, what good are you? So this is the lesson that I'm trying to learn. And on good days, I understand it. And then on difficult days, I have a hardest time uncoupling it. But if you love that person, you have to manage to do that. And the last lesson is connected to this one as well. You are not in control of the situation. Ultimately, the one who's above us all is in control. But I would trade. If I could trade places, I would. If I could give something up of myself to make him feel better, I would. But I can't. And you can't either. If your loved one or your friend, if he or she is suffering, there's nothing you can do to wave a magic wand and take it away. What you can do is do all that you can. The lesson you have to learn is that I'm doing what I can. I'm helping. I'm able to listen, and I'm able to be there in difficult times, and I can be there in good times. I can help with a therapist or provide that care. I can help provide medical care and find medication through multiple tries that hopefully will bring enough stability for the therapy, individual therapy, to affect change. First and foremost, I can pray for my son. I'm doing what I can. And you can do as well. You can't wave it away, you can't make it magically better. But you can do what you can do. And that's enough. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your indulgence, but most importantly, this conversation is not about me. This is a conversation about what we can all do collectively and individually to help those who are suffering, not of their own fault, but because they have these various conditions, and they don't need to be alone. Just like Cole said, we can do what we can to help them. And if you have some words of wisdom for me and my family, if you have some experiences to help us through this, we appreciate any kind of advice you can give. And if we can help you, if you have questions or if you have concerns about your loved ones, we'd be happy to talk to you and be helpful to you. Thank you for listening.